Hi guys, so this is video one on how to prepare for the Bufo Alvarius experience. Can we actually prepare for such a thing? That's a big question. All right. So what I tell people is to a few days before, try to make yourself a bit lighter by not eating so much, by eating lighter things, fresh foods if you can, and avoiding meat. It's not that there's any major incompatibility, nothing super major is going to happen to you if you have Bufo and you've just had a meal with the meat just before. You might throw up, that's quite possible. But anyway, so I tell people to do that because it just seems to make us lighter, and we spend about 70 to 80% of our energy every day just digesting. Imagine, you might think it's moving around, doing your work and so on. No, 70 to 80% of that energy loss comes from what you put inside your mouth and swallowed. How about that? So if we eat less, what happens? Well, if you've experimented with that, you'll find that actually you find yourself physically lighter, and after a while you will be, probably, and you got more energy and you feel better. Doing intermittent fasting can be a solution for that. If you want to give it a shot, you give yourself like an 8-hour window for eating. You try to eat smaller portions and wait a bit. Anyway, that would be a topic for another video. A few hours before the Bufo, try not to eat anything, or you can eat something that's going to be quickly digested, like fruit. That's fine. Okay, you can have tea as long as it's not green tea, or just try to avoid any stimulants. So avoid coffee, avoid things like maca, all of the alternative thing. Cacao is also stimulant. Avoid all the stimulants before, and avoid them also afterwards for a while. All right. What else? Meditate. Try and take some time for yourself. Sometimes we feel guilty taking time for ourselves because we've got so many things to do, and we feel guilty for not doing them. Or we go, oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, I've got to do the shopping. Oh, a few hours from now, I've got to go and pick up the kids, or whatever it is. Well, consciously decide that you're going to take some time for yourself, whether it's 15 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. And, do some relaxation, some breathing, some meditating. Just try to slow down. And how do we approach the actual experience when you're there, you're sitting there with the facilitator? Well, the way I do it is we always have some breathing time before, and I use these Tibetan singing bowls and some other instruments, and I play some sounds also on the speakers. And I tell people they're sitting there, and I tell them to sit there with their eyes closed, preferably. It's up to them if they want to keep them open. Some people have trouble closing their eyes because then the thoughts are coming in and there's nothing to distract them from the thoughts. All right, well, keep your eyes open, it's all right. Tell them to breathe in and out through the nose, and to just let the air do its thing, and feel how the air is bringing you everything you need. You can breathe in some peace and some calm, and you can exhale whatever it is you want to get rid of. I also think it's a good idea to consciously decide that there are things that you want to get rid of, patterns things that you might be doing or thinking in your life, things that you know deep down they need to change. I think it's a good idea to consciously decide and say to ourselves, and that would be work for before you get to the facilitator's location, to consciously decide, say, I don't want these things anymore, and name them, and say it out loud. And if there are feelings located in your body, maybe in your stomach, then you can use feathers or your hands and just do this sweeping movement, to just sweep them off and shake them off. And you can shake your body as well. And you're standing up and you just shake your body and try to shake them out physically. Say it and do something symbolic that's showing that you're actually doing something to really let go of them and to get rid of them. I think it's really important to decide that consciously, because a lot of times I've seen it in myself, and I've seen it in other people and clients and things. We often hold on to things that we know we don't really want deep down, and for some reason they've become our identity, and we're afraid to let go of that identity because it's the only one we've got. I understand that. However, trust me when I tell you that when you let go of that identity that's not really you, it's automatically replaced by something better. It's seamless, it's painless, and it's actually joyful. It actually feels good, and you immediately feel relieved. You immediately feel better. You need to decide consciously that you've had enough, and you're willing to let go, and you're willing now to start a new phase, turn a new page in your life, and make some space for something new. If you don't ring out the old, then you're not going to ring in the new. You need to really make some space inside you for some new stuff. So it's a good idea to do that before you get to the before. But if you don't want to do that, you haven't had time, you didn't think of it or whatever, it's all right. Just go through the process of the before. Trust the medicine. So we start by breathing and relaxing. And those are the two things that you really need to do, because these experiences, they're just a meditation with some help. They're like a very deep and very successful meditation with quite a lot of help. And I say to people, well, if it helps you to visualize how this works, it's like a radio signal, right? At the moment, I don't have the radio on here. I can't hear the radio signal, but the radio signal is there, right? If I go to the radio and I turn it on, and I turn that dial to the right frequency, I can suddenly hear that signal. Well, this is the same thing. It's there. It's always been there. It's always within and without us. And we need to tune ourselves in to the right frequency. And so what the toad medicine does, and so does ayahuasca, and so can meditation or just breathing do, and so many things. What it does is that it comes along and it turns that knob on the radio and sets it to the right frequency, exactly right, and then it boosts that signal really loud and clear. That's what it does. But we need to be willing to let that happen, right? We need to be okay for that. We need to be receptive. So how do we become receptive? By getting rid of resistance. And the best way to do that is by using breath, by breathing and relaxing our body consciously, and letting go of the tension. The tension is resistance. The tension is a barrier. It's an obstacle. It gets in the way. And so, as David Dada says, he's written some great books. I'm reading a couple now. And he says, breathing is the interface between energy and consciousness. And that's quite true. I think it's well put. So anyway, that's how you prepare, and that's how you go through an experience also, is by breathing and relaxing. So it's quite important that you have a setting and a facilitator that will allow you to do that. You don't want some guy who's treating you badly, yelling at you, insulting you, kicking you, electrifying you, pouring water down your throat when you're unconscious. Basically, it looks like he's trying to kill you almost. You don't want that. You want to be with somebody you trust, who's going to be patient, who's not going to be there judging you. All right, like that freaking madman was the very famous facilitator I'm not going to name, but he's got deep issues really. You don't want to go with that guy. There are lots of good facilitators, I'm sure. Well, that one really. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. It's about relaxing, breathing, and it's about feeling. It's not about trying to understand things, neither before, nor during, nor after. It's always about feeling, feeling, and feeling. And if you're getting stuck and you're having a hard time, then it's going to be about breathing and relaxing. And it's also going to be about going in nature. I've had clients tell me they went to hug a tree. Now that might sound ridiculous to lots of us. But she had this massive energy in her head. She said very intense energy. And she went outside and she hugged a tree and she asked the tree for permission to discharge her energy in her, and she put her forehead on it and she felt this energy leave and she felt massive relief and she was a lot better after that. The world is a lot more magical than we perceive it to be, or than we accept it to be, or than we reason it to be, than we think it to be. All right? And yeah, it really is. There's a lot more magic going on than we realize. It's incredible. Anyway, I hope that helps a bit. If you've got questions, feel free to send them over. You can find my contact on the contact page of my blog. If you're interested in this sort of thing, there's a ton of information on my blog. I recommend you just subscribe to that and subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel. And I'm posting lots of different things, and I'm planning on posting some really interesting things in future, and more videos about Bufo on how to do anything relating to Bufo really, because my book will be talking about everything to do with that. I don't know when it will be released. It's got a lot of work needed to be done on it, but it will be hopefully the most complete book about how to deal with Bufo, how to do it. Oh, one last thing, never do these things alone. I mean that. It's not just because I'm a facilitator and because, you know, it's not about the money, right? Most of the people watching this video, I'm never going to meet them, all right? But I do think you need to stay safe. And you need somebody there, because it is easy. Believe me, I've seen too many cases where people would have harmed themselves really badly or killed themselves had they been alone, okay? You need somebody there who's experienced, who's going to know what to do if you start freaking out without them freaking out, all right? You need somebody who knows what to do if you start vomiting, right? Because you can choke yourself on your vomit and die. It's very easy to do that. You can maybe choke yourself on saliva as well, because we start salivating a lot during these experiences sometimes. So you also need to be careful with that. You can fall and crack your head open on the floor. You can bang your arms against the walls. You can break your legs and arms very easily. Lots and lots of things can happen. And I'm not doing this to instill any fear in you. I'm trying to instill some caution in you, some prudence. Get somebody who knows a little bit about what these things are, who's patient, who's not going to freak out no matter what, who's going to be there calmly, who's going to be able to keep you safe, or don't do it, okay? That's why also there are facilitators, because we've seen hundreds of people or thousands of people, and we've seen things you could not even imagine, all right? and we stay calm. And believe me, it's not always easy, because sometimes you got somebody who's experiencing being a wild animal, right? And you are in that room with that person, and you've got somebody making noises that a human could not possibly make, or that person would not know how to do those noises. And he's doing them, you're behaving like a wild animal, and the energy and presence that you can feel is that of a wild animal. It's not that of a human. And that thing, that creature is there because that person is really living that. That can be quite freaky, you know. And that's just one example. When you deal with exorcism, I'm talking like you've seen in the movies. I'm talking worse than what you've seen in the movies sometimes. Okay, if people were able to act like some of the stuff that I've seen in a movie, they would get an Oscar. They would have Oscars pouring out of their asses. Sorry for the language there, but so take it seriously. Never abuse the medicine. Always make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Always feel the calling from the heart, or refrain from doing it, or you will regret it. I do believe that medicine can be extremely harmful or deadly for you if you're abusing it and doing it for the wrong reasons. It means you need to be willing to do the work as well, during and after, because your process starts after the experience, really. That's when it all begins. Anyway, I've babbled on long enough for now. There'll be other videos on this topic, explaining how to deal with after, before, during the experience, and so on. And yeah, and if you have any questions, then hit me up through the contact page on my blog, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, or you can leave comments as well on the video. All right, take care, have a great day.